social media was acceptable, I had access to it because I didn't own a computer, I had no idea about it whatsoever. And then I started to get a name for myself as a dog walker, and I became fascinated on how dogs learned, on how dogs survived, how they lived in our domestic environments. So I decided that I wanted to become a trainer. I was fascinated by this, and I wanted to find out more about these animals. So I studied, I worked in rescue shelters, I apprenticed with my mentors, I interned, I did everything I possibly could to learn about what made dogs tick. And eventually I felt confident enough to advertise myself as a dog trainer. And that meant going to little dog stores in London and putting up my cheap little flyer, dog trainer. And I went to every single store in my area and put up my little flyers. And then, very gradually, people started to call. So that was my experience, my first experience 15 years ago of social media. Now, obviously, my platform is a lot bigger. 6 years ago, I was a trainer working in New Jersey and Manhattan. And I decided that I wanted to be able to get the word out about positive reinforcement training to a wider audience. I was sick of seeing so many animals getting put down in shelters across the United States, but especially in Manhattan. The year before I came to Manhattan, which was 1999, around 67,000 dogs and cats went through the municipal shelter system in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs alone. And out of that 67,000, 40,000 of those were euthanized. And that, to me, was an absolute terrible waste of life. And so many of these animals' lives could have been saved if their owners just knew how to work with them successfully. So that's how I decided, all right, I want to spread this to a wider audience. And I went to NBC, I went to CBS, I went to see every single network. Nobody was interested. And then one night, I was a new mother, and I watched the first episode of The Super Nanny. Just to see what I had in store. And as I watched it, I remember I began to shake. Because an idea came into my head. And the idea was, because I was so like her, because my teaching method was very like her, my idea was for the show to be the super trainer. So I ran down to my computer, which I had by then, still not being able to type very well, and I emailed producers. And I told them, I've got a great idea for a new show. And the next day they contacted me. These producers were in England. So for the first 2 years, I filmed my show in England. We did around 50 episodes there. And then the show came over to America. And for 4 years, it's been on the screens of Animal Planet. So for those of you who don't know my show, it's Me or the Dog. But even for those of you who do, here is just a little taster. be either in prison or in a mental institution. If I was a dog and lived with this family, I would be on Doggy Valley. You're a bit of a crotch sniffer, aren't you? Oh my gosh, she's jumped off the dinghy and now he's swimming. This is going to be fun. I love it when dogs play for the first time outside. I'm so excited. That's it, you. This is a lovely way to start the day. Is she crazy? It's a little bit disconcerting, that great big white dog. A British tea party with scones and tea. Come for the dog, like a bulldog should be. I have never, ever seen anything quite as mad as this. These are one mic, these are the one I'm doing. No, I think I got chaos. Yeah, you're right about that. I just got a slobbery kick. Yeah. I like that. You're gonna listen to me. It's not you coming out here and giving stinks. Come on, Tracy. Nice to. Oh gosh. Okay, what did I just seen on Barkworld? That is interesting. That's exciting. I think what is a dog? You are the fantastic people I've ever seen in my life. Love that. Bailey gets the prize for being the noisiest dog in the house. So It's Me or the Dog has now been my life for the last 6.5 years, and it's been a roller coaster ride. It really has. I've filmed in England, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and now New York City. I spent a long time away from my family, which has been hard. Thank goodness for Skype. And I realized that actually, in order for me to carry on after the show finished, but also to promote the show, I had to build a brand. Now, this is me who knows absolutely nothing about brand building whatsoever. I also had to come up with a name for my brand. And my name is Positively, because that's what I practice. That is essential. That's the core of my philosophy, is positive reinforcement. And the way that I got this out was the best possible blanketing of every nation. It's in 50 countries around the world now, my show, was through the television. And It's Me or the Dog now. We've done about 120 episodes. People always ask me, how do you film it? I spend 4 days with the family, and we tape about 56 hours of footage. That 56 hours of footage has to be condensed to 42 minutes with commercial breaks. So it's very difficult to show a progression, but I think our editors do a very, very good job. But what I experienced when I first worked on this show was how producers can completely quash you. There I am, I'm a trainer, I want to get information out, I'm very green when it comes to television, and I found that the voiceover in my show was in the director's voice and not mine. So the first season was trying to work out the kinks, trying to get this show what I wanted it to be. And then, from the second season onwards, it became my show, my voice. I didn't realize that after the first season aired in England that it was going to be as popular as it was. And I had no website or anything. So when they got the second season, they said, you've got to get a website. So my husband and I cobbled together a website very, very quickly, so we had an online home where people could go to. I wanted to be able to build a brand, so there's something after It's Me or the Dog, because I know the television industry. I used to be an actor. I know the television industry very well. I know that when your ratings are up, they love you. There's the champagne, there's the best thing since sliced bread. When your ratings are down, it's see you later. That's just the world we live in. So I wanted to be able to use this platform to expand my business so that there will be something after It's Me or the Dog finished. But there's no doubt about it that It's Me or the Dog is a fantastic platform for my brand, for what I want to do. I have a passion, as I said, for positive reinforcement training. And some of you all are trainers here. And so you'll know what I'm talking about. Positive reinforcement is basically, if you reward a behavior in a dog that you like, there's more of a chance of that behavior being repeated. It's a much more humane and effective way to train your dog to be successful. I don't believe in dominating your dog into submission. I don't believe in holding your dog down until it submits. I don't believe in putting prong collars, choke collars, shock collars on a dog, yanking, jerking. I think that's weak. I think doing that shows such human weakness because there are so many other ways we can teach a dog how to be successful in this world without resorting to these ridiculous man-made contraptions. I don't believe that you need to be a big dominant boss in order to get your dog to behave. How can I, little 110-pound me, train a bull mastiff to walk well on a leash without using these contraptions? How can I stop a dog that is really, really aggressive from biting people? How can I teach a dog not to be anxious? How would I do that? By being dominant and punishing that dog? I can't see a way. But yet, unfortunately, in this country especially, the dominance methodology is still very, very strong. So now here It's Me or the Dog is come. It's the antidote to that. You see, I'd much rather be able to influence behavior in my animal without the use of force. I think it's a much, much smarter methodology, as I said. I want to be the kind of person that my dog looks to and does things for me because it wants to, rather than because it fears what's going to happen to it if it doesn't. Plus, the thing of dominance training is very dangerous. When you're confrontational with a dog, especially a dog that has aggression issues, aggression breeds aggression. And what you're doing with dominance training, and what I fight against, is people who suppress behavior without asking why. Why is the dog behaving in the way it is? Because suppressing behavior in itself can be very, very dangerous. Let's say a dog is growling. Growling is good. I want to hear growling, because growling sends me a message. It warns me. Now, what happens if you suppress that growling? Dog learns not to growl. So then what does dog do? Dog goes straight to the bite. And that's why it's really important to allow these animals to be able to express themselves. I teach dogs that they can make a choice. Sounds weird, isn't it? What? You're giving a dog a choice? Dogs don't make choices. We make choices for them. But they're thinking, breathing, feeling, emotional beings. And they can make choices. And you can guide them to making the right choice without the use of harsh punishment. I'm a very, very vocal opponent against the dominance training industry. And I would love to see the day when shock collars were banned in this country, as they're starting to be banned in Britain. I love positive reinforcement because it really gets a good connection and a bond between an owner and their animal. And I love it because some of it can be very, very fast, and sometimes if a dog's very anxious, it's going to take a while. But why do we always belittle a dog's emotional experience by thinking that a yank or a jerk of the collar is going to fix it? If a dog is lunging at another dog and we give it a good yank and we put it down on its side and hold it down, to restrain it until it calms down. Do you think that's going to teach the dog anything? It's going to make the dog more insecure. So my way is by saying, you know what? I want to find out why you're lunging at that other dog. I want to understand it, and I'm going to teach you not to be so anxious. 99% of dogs that display aggressive response are insecure. So if I'm working with my dog, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to try and understand you and why you're doing this. And then I'm going to work to make you more secure. But I'm not going to fix it in 2 seconds. If you're angry, or you feel violent, or you're fearful, can you just go to the doctor, have 1 hour session, and be fine? You're probably going to need therapy. You might need medication, but you probably need therapy. And that's where I come in. And did you all know that the dog's emotional part of a dog's brain is wired in exactly the same way as that of a human's? There's no difference. But because their emotion is filtered through a cortex that is less complicated than ours, it means that it's not plagued by all of our thoughts. In a way, emotion in a dog is much more real, is much more basic. So, I argue a lot with people who say that dogs don't have the ability to feel emotion. Because I think if you ask any dog owner, they'd say that their dog does have that ability, and in fact are extremely emotional beings. It's very difficult to find a trainer, certainly here in the United States, that you know is going to come and use great methods. So I decided to set up one of the first networks in this country where you can go to the website and you can find a trainer in your area that trains using my methods, positive reinforcement. And all of these trainers that work in my network have been personally assessed by me. So I know what these people are capable of. They're the creme de la creme. And I decided to do this, and this has been in the works now for about a year. And now we have more than 60 members throughout America, the United Kingdom, Greece, and Italy. And we're expanding all the time. And of course, we use my website to get the message out, as well as conferences like this. And I love, the fact is I've always tried to be an entrepreneur. I used to, when I was trying to get money to go to university, when I set up a cleaning business, I would go clean people's houses. That was my business. I've always set up businesses. So here is just another part of my brand where I wanted to use what I've done on the television to really expand the brand and allow people access to other trainers like me. I love going to conferences and networking and meeting with people, and with trainers especially, because we all want the same thing. We all want to improve the lives of animals, and we all want to make some money. That's it. But networking with like-minded people always inspires me. My brand is growing in global awareness. I receive applications from everywhere, and the process is quite tough because I can't take in anybody. But I know now that people, when they have a positive reinforcement, a positively trainer, come to their home, that they know that this trainer is going to be humane with their animals. Another platform that I have is going on TV shows like this and media appearances. There's Martha Stewart with her dogs, and I've forgotten it's Sharky and somebody else. Francesca, Franny and Sharky. There's Martha Stewart, a fascinating woman. You talk about a brand, you talk about an empire. You go into her studios, which is literally for the Martha Stewart show. It's amazing, the living space. The kitchen is a full working kitchen. But you're walking down the corridors, and in all the hallways, every single corridor, are of pictures of Martha Stewart as a model. Martha Stewart here, Martha Stewart here, Martha Stewart towels in the bathroom, Martha Stewart toilet paper. Seriously. Martha Stewart everything. Martha Stewart chairs, Martha Stewart carpet. Wow, that's a brand. That's amazing. And now, of course, you know that she's expanded into the pet industry and has a great brand. But she's passionate about pets. So I think that's one of the key things is passion. I might not know a lot about social media, but I am passionate. And another thing that I am is tenacious. My mother taught that. Real tenacity. Stick to it, stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. And also to accept criticism, to accept compliments, and use that to make yourself grow. I'm open to people giving me advice still, and I think that makes me a good trainer. Because a trainer never stops learning, ever. Because behavioral science is always making new discoveries, and we have to change with that. So that's what I learned very, very early on. Like Martha Stewart, she had a passion for what she wanted to do. I've written 2 books. It's Me or the Dog, How to Have a Perfect Pet, and Fat Dog Slim. And again, another great platform to get the message out. These were TV tie-in books, so when they came out, when the television show came out in Britain, both books came out in Britain. One book here is available here. I'll be doing a book signing afterwards, which is It's Me or the Dog, How to Have a Perfect Pet. So again, I've been lucky, because when I started the show, they said, "Do you have a book?" Actually, I'd already been writing. I'd already written 10 chapters before I knew that I had a show. So immediately when the show was successful, they got the book up, had it printed, sold it. It began to sell really well because of the television, because there was big exposure. And I was able to spread my message via the books as well. Now, last year, I began to explore the social media side. Kind of knew a little bit about Facebook, a little bit about Twitter, didn't really know how that worked. And of course, had my new website established. But I wanted to be able to talk with fans. I wanted to be able to connect. And I think that's the really important thing, is making a connection and being accessible. In so many ways, this kind of social media can cut you off. We're so good at texting. I'm a great texter. I'd rather text than talk on the phone to somebody. I'm not a good conversationalist on the phone. Now I see a lot of people going down and saying, I would rather write an email than make a phone call. And so in a way, you cut yourself off. There's not that physical integration anymore. So I wanted to, with my podcasts, I wanted to be able to connect with people. And people love podcasts. So I had a great co-host with me, Holly Furfer, who is indigenous to Atlanta. She's a host of CNN and radio shows here in Atlanta. And we started to do podcasts. They did so well, and we got so many hits, that just doing those podcasts alone expanded the traffic that was coming to my website. And it was a real way for people to connect with me. Ask Victoria. And they would email in their questions, and that they might hear the answer on the podcast. And what we realized very quickly is that we were getting up to about 500 questions a week. And of course you can't answer all of those. My husband's head was exploding, and so it kept on coming in. But the podcast was a really great way of being able to address some of those. And I love it because it does have that connection. It does have that really relaxed feeling of having a conversation, as if somebody is sitting in your living room and having a conversation with you. And I think, again, that's really important. You have to make the person that's watching you, listening to you, reading about you, feel connected to you, feel comfortable with you. And when somebody feels connected and comfortable with you, then they want to have a dialogue with you. People also want to see compassion. They also want to have somebody that's friendly and that's willing. Because now I enjoy a certain status, fame, whatever that is, I have a lot of people that come up on the street to me and say, you know, I have a problem with my dog, or can I have a picture? And I would never in a million years say no. Because A, they had the guts to come up in the first place, and B, I've been put in this position for a reason. So always, that accessibility, I think, is really important. Now we get to Facebook and Twitter. Facebook and Twitter has been two great vehicles for me. And again, I don't have a personal Facebook page, but I have my fan page now. It really is a great way that I connect with people. I'm a better tweeter than I am putting up on Facebook, because I like to do things very, very quickly. It's also made me a better writer, because I have to get what I want to say out in very, very short. I think it was 129 words or some letters. And so these have been great vehicles for me, Facebook and Twitter. YourSphere as well. We branched out to YourSphere. I don't know if any of you have heard about YourSphere. This is a great company. This is Facebook for young people. This is a much, much safer place for your kids to go to that has every single kind of online protection that you can have. It's not 100% safe. Nothing is 100% safe. But it's especially designed for children, really from the time that a child is interested in going on the computer and exploring. Some kids at the age of 5 start YourSphere, but really it's from about the age of 7 to 17. And it's also where younger fans can connect with some of the people that they like. They can also connect with each other. And I like to be able to do things like YourSphere because, again, it's important for me. A large part of my audience are kids. And I want to be able to educate these children so that they're successful with their animals, so that they are humane, and the most important thing is so that they're safe. So if you're interested in that, check out yoursphere.com to find out more information about it. Then comes my website. So the website is the online destination for positive reinforcement training. It's informational, it's relational, and it's where we get out all what's happening in the media world, with books, and with everything, with bloggers that we have on our site. We have a lot of great expert bloggers, trainers and behaviorists around the world blogging on the site. And I think that's, again, the accessibility. We wanted to make the site, we wanted to grow the site, so we invited people to come in and blog on the site, not just me. I wanted to be able to open it up to everybody else. And so now that grew. The fact that we invited people in to help us and to give information showed that the numbers that were coming to my website grew. So I see this all like a web, and the spider in the middle, and it's now shooting out. And it's spreading. And so we're not just talking about the United States here. This is now spreading around 50 countries where it's Mule the Dog is shown. And now we're getting so much online traffic in just over a year that I think it's shocking to both my husband and I, who have seen how extensive this increase is. It's also exhausting. And I don't know if with you running your businesses, are as exhausted as my husband and I. But we put so much time and so much effort into connecting with fans and expanding our brand that it's very difficult to do anything else. I've just been in New York for 3 months. I came back 2 days ago, filming my 8th season of the show now. And if you want to see it, it's going to be starting from January onwards, Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. We went to the most insane households, the most insane dogs, the most insane people. First time that I've ever met anybody from the mafia. If anybody's heard of Jimmy the Greek and the Genovese family, well, Jimmy the Greek died 3 years ago, but the Genovese family, if you want to see that, watch the show. I tell you, the show really, in New York, we tackled some of the episodes are really light and fun, but others of them are really dark, really difficult. I was just with a little boy who couldn't walk his dog anymore down the road because he witnessed a murder. He witnessed somebody being shot. His father couldn't understand why his son didn't want to take the dog out for a walk anymore. He called his son weak. That's the kind of stuff I deal with. Believe you me. We got the dad to walk with the son around the block, because I realized it was the father's responsibility to help his son get over the post-traumatic stress that he was suffering from having witnessed somebody being shot 5 times just outside his doorstep. That's the sort of thing I deal with. I've been online now for about 1.5 years. I write blogs too. I'm not the greatest writer. I write with passion. My husband's an English major. I am not. But I write with passion. And I love blogging. I also love using Facebook and Twitter to really promote my passion. And I don't know whether you know about this. Lennox, the pit bull. This has been a great way, my Facebook and Twitter has been a great way when there's something, a cause that I feel is really important, I go to town. And it's like that web again that expands. And I'll put something like Save Lennox, the pit bull, and within an hour I'll have around, goodness knows how many impressions, or within a day about 100,000 impressions, 600 comments. Lennox is a pit bull that, because of breed-specific legislation, was incarcerated a 1.5 years ago in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And the family has been fighting to get him back. Now, pit bulls have been banned in Northern Ireland and Britain for 20 years. And what happened is that this dog, 5 years old, was just happily living in his home, no issues, no problem, when a knock on the door came and council took him away because he was a pit bull type. He fitted the measurements. Even though they registered this dog for 5 years previously. Even though the dog was DNA registered, and even though its litter mate was deemed to be not of pit bull type, this dog, the brother, was deemed to be a pit bull type. Because you can have 2 fathers for the same litter. It can happen. So you can't really use that as evidence. So for 1.5 years, these people have been battling. And the very desperately sad thing is that the child, this was her therapy dog. She has chronic asthma. She spends most of her life in hospital. And Lennox, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there on this one. Lennox was a therapy dog. Lennox calmed her down because stress brings on her asthma attacks. And they took her dog away. And they locked him up. And then experts, military and police dog trainers went to go see him. And they poked him with poles and put a catch pole on him and made him really scared that he did aggress. And they deemed him dangerous. And Peter Tallock, who I'm ratting on him, nobody really knows who he is. I didn't know who he is until they used him as an expert. Said that because Lennox likes to play with his leash, he likes that game of tug, he's a dangerous dog. So now the court has ruled. The court ruled that he would be put to death. The family appealed. The appeal was heard 2 weeks ago. The judge made the decision today. Lennox is going to be put to sleep. But because of social media, because of this incredible Facebook and Twitter, over 100,000 people around the world, 100,000 people around the world signed a petition to save Lennox. I got involved because I despise breed-specific legislation. I think it's a canine witch hunt. I think they're looking at the wrong end of the leash. And I wanted to be able to review the evidence myself to see, was this dog really a dangerous dog? And I got to see 2 very, very thorough behavioural evaluations over the DVD. And there is no way that poor Lennox is a dangerous dog. Now, the family have 14 days to appeal, but I just heard today it's not going to work. And Lennox will be put down. I watched him this morning. Again in one of the behavioural evaluations. Such a scared dog. But when he realised and he trusted the person that was evaluating him, an amazing woman called Sarah Fisher, he just turned into a really lovely, happy, playful dog. But they're going to put him down. This is just an example of how using social media for causes is so important. Another thing just happened. Don't know whether you know this guy. Nobody knows him. Jordan Shelley. He was in the BBC. He went on the One Show. And there was a Jack Russell Terrier that he was teaching not to resource guard over its bowl. There's no doubt about it. You went near the bowl, dog's food bowl, it would bite you. And what this trainer did was to basically abuse this dog into submission. And they showed it on the BBC. Huge outcry. Massive outcry. This is abuse. The Royal Society of Protection of Cruelty to Animals became involved. The Dogs Trust. Dogs Today magazine that I write for. The BBC was on the news. It was in every paper in the Daily Mail. Because people said, we don't want training like this anymore. That animal was abused for 45 minutes. Eventually, you stop guarding the food bowl just for a bit in order to get the guy to move away. And so people contacted me and said, watch this video. Can you do something, please? We cannot have this guy on our screens. So I launched, and I don't like doing this. I don't like to personally attack somebody. And I didn't personally attack him. But I launched a huge thing of, let's get this dominance trainer off our screens, via Facebook and via Twitter. And 2 days later, the BBC axed him. Now, in a weird twist of fate, he contacted me. And we're now emailing. Because he's trying to survive the media shitstorm that's going on around him. But he said to me, you know what, I want to learn. To be quite honest, I didn't really know what I was doing. I want to learn. So now something that was so bad and so disgraceful from this person who really knew nothing has now turned in, because of this social media, has now turned into something positive. And I'll be meeting with him when I go to England. But I think that's what this social media has done for me. And I love being able to connect with my fans. I love being able to tell them about events that are taking place. And I love to be able to say, today I had a really shitty day. Or, today my good friend died. I was in New York, and 2 weeks ago, filming, when I got the news that my kid's best friend's father passed away, 42 years old, of a heart attack like that. And that evening, everybody was going to go to the widow's house just to gather and be around her and support her, and I couldn't go. And I sat in my apartment and I felt so terribly desperate. I could not believe this amazing, fit, incredible man of God So I went on my Facebook fan page and I wrote about what happened, and I said, I'm just sitting here. And within an hour, I had about 500 replies of people who offered their condolences and gave their support. And I cannot tell you how incredibly reassuring and powerful that was for me. So I'm not afraid to share my emotions. In fact, that's what fans want. They want to find out more about their person, the celebrity that they follow. They want to find out more about them. I'm not going to expose everything, but I am definitely going to tell people what I feel passionate about and what's affecting me at that moment. I'm also a big anti-puppy mill campaigner. And this is another way that we've been able to spread awareness, not just here in the United States, but in Britain as well, and also now in Hong Kong, and also now in China, because one of the biggest providers of puppy mills is happening in China at the moment. There are puppy mills springing up everywhere, because now owning a dog, especially in Hong Kong, and the Chinese now, but now owning a dog is becoming very popular, really since the 1990s. And spreading this via the social media is really important, so that people don't people don't buy from the internet or buy from pet stores, so that they know where their puppies come from. I think the most important thing is to be generous, to really be generous, and I said be available. Connecting with fans. Fans like to know that I'm there for them. Being able to answer questions on Twitter or on Facebook or over my forums on my website has really helped connect. And even though I really still feel that there's a long way to go, the web's growing wider. And now we're branching out into products. We're branching out into training schools, physical schools. We're branching out into bite prevention talks. I'm very, very much into bite prevention, teaching children especially to be safe around dogs. There are around 800,000 reported dog bites in the United States last year that required medical attention. But on average, about 4.5 million dog bites were reported. That's way too much. So I'm now using social media to get into schools, to go give talks in schools to help children be safe around dogs. So I'd have to say, from really knowing very little when I first started, cobbling a little website together when my show took off, and then really in the last couple of years, expanding on every single platform that I can do, that I really feel like, with my husband who's sitting over there, who really is the business brain behind my brand, and who works so damn hard every single day to spread the message and to spread our brand, that I feel now it's working. And so one day, when the TV show goes away, the brand will still be very, very strong. And it's because we've set it on a solid foundation. Now, I'm somebody who's very impatient. I want things done like that. My husband is the one that says, you know what? Take a step back. Build the foundation. Build, build, build. And you're going to see success. And that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, it's about my passion, but it's also about creating a business. So I know I don't think I've probably given you any kind of new tips or anything you don't know about. But I was asked here just to talk a little bit about my experience from my platform. And I don't want to just go me, 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 me all the time, because really I do not have a big ego. But if you can take anything that I told you and use it, please do. If you have any advice, as I said, please tell me. And if you want to have a book signed, I'll be doing a book signing next door. But thank you very much for having me.
Stilwell, thank you guys for coming to the session. As she just mentioned, we are going to do a book signing in the Apartment Guide Lounge. And we also have King of Pops. Anyone that's local knows about King of Pops. They're handmade popsicles. They're outside on the terrace. And when you go out on the terrace, it just, kind of touches point to what Victoria was talking about today. As I mentioned, the Atlanta Pet Rescue is our charity this weekend, and they've made these little angel trees that they have a table out there with dogs and cats that are up for adoption. So if you can grab one and make a donation or buy them some swag or something to that nature, please feel free to check them out. They have a table outside on the terrace. And then again, you can line up outside the Apartment Guide Lounge, and Van, her husband, will be there with some of her books for $20. You can buy a book. Victoria will take a picture with you and sign the book. So thank you.